together. We cannot avoid collaboration now, the world being a global market, such that we'll be able to know what market or what products can we give out to those countries and to ask what can we get from them. Because we are talking of innovation and sustainability. So collaboration is very important so that you get somewhere to take your products and in return you get something that is also profitable.
Thank you very much for that elaborations on the importance of collaborations. Then we come to our almost a final question before we engage the audience. What emerging trends in transformational leadership and innovation do you foresee affecting sustainability development in Kenya over the next decade? Now we can go to Dr. Rotich before lastly we can hear also for
Okay, I'll try to.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Not really for Kenya, you can tell us from, yeah, yes.
Yes,
Derek.
I think for Kenyan organizations, the thing which is really, can't say so much of an emerging issue, but perhaps a constant feature which has been there is actually innovation. We talk so much about innovation here in this country, talk about innovation, but nobody seems to practice it. That's why in the Kenya Intellectual Property Institute, we only have 52 patents in the last 20 years. So, and that's why our companies are posting very small profits. Yeah, if you look at the profits by companies like MTN in South Africa, they are posting profits of close to almost like 80 billion shillings in a year. Now, Kenya here, our Safaricom is posting profits of 53 billion, but the majority of the companies here are posting profits of between 10 million and 100 million, majority of them. So, and that's why we find that we don't even have enough tax revenue. A few people are being squeezed to pay taxes. So innovation really should be now something which should be practiced day and night by corporate leaders, so that we not just talking about it, but actually doing it practically. So and this could include things like even expansion, creating new products, services, expansion of market share and others. Number two is actually data, having a data-driven decision making. I think that's an emerging issue in leadership now. I've seen quite a number of companies in the Fortune 500 that are now talking about that data is our biggest resource. Yeah, I think that to me is something we need to really think of, how to use data strategically for decision making. But more importantly, the issue now which must be sorted in Kenya for transformational leadership to take place is actually ethics and governance. And you know why I'm talking about that. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Nyamai. Emerging trends.
So some of the emerging trends, we can talk of the panel which was here elaborately talked about AI. And that is the way to go, such that it is very important, because this is what is coming in these contemporary times, to ensure, the government to ensure that anyone in the household, or even the family, to ensure that everyone in the household and in our curricula, these things have been put so that anyone who comes up or any growing generation can be able to appreciate that, so that they do not become naive with what is happening during this time. Another thing, maybe emerging issue, is the job hope of especially the young generation. They are not getting satisfied with the jobs. So they are moving from one job to another. So what can be done? That area, it needs to be looked at such that our youth, they are contented. And one thing is talent management, such that the talent is appropriately assigned, and that they feel that they are comfortable. They feel that they are appreciated, and motivation comes in. Maybe that is what I was having for now.
Yes, from Mikal, can you hear some trends? I'm sure you commented that mostly Japanese. Kali is not.
Okay,
yeah.
Just going to pick up from something what
Yes.
the lady said.
Yeah.
You mentioned that in Kenya, people tend to change jobs quite frequently. But I think that's the general trend in the West. in Europe, in America, basically, and it's been so for a very long time, right? In Japan, the typical way to do it is I think is not to change. Traditionally, once you join a company, you stay there until you retire. But currently, the younger generation, I think, well, they kind of look around. Once they join a company, they, well, get experience. They kind of start looking around, and some of them actually, quite a few, they start their own businesses, right? And I'm not sure if that's an emerging trend or if it's a trend at all, but younger people starting their own businesses is possibly one way to go. As I said, Japan has a problem with innovation. They do have a lot of new technology, but they kind of failed to commercialize it. So maybe younger people, because usually the CEO of a company is like a 50 or 60-year-old guy. You never see young people that high in a Japanese company. It almost never happens. But if you give them a chance, like maybe there will be the future will be brighter. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, for that trade in Japan, I'm sure we have come to the end of the characteristics, the issue of challenges, importance of collaboration, and the emerging trends for sustainability. So we open the panel for you people to ask any question on the issue of contribution of transformational leadership and innovation on sustainable development in Kenya. It doesn't have to be in Kenya, because you have a Japanese here. So the floor is open. We still have some. Yes, okay. Yes.
So it will be unfair if I don't say something. Emerging issue in health. Surveillance is very important, so that the organization can be able to predict what type of maybe emerging disease which is coming. For example, COVID caught people unawares, and therefore we should strengthen surveillance. And if we do that, we'll be able to manage whatever comes, whatever emerging diseases that come, so that it does not affect the population. Of course, when COVID came, it's the time now people were running here and there. And one important thing is this collaboration. JACMO brought us a lot of these protective wares. And therefore, I think surveillance using the data that we have talked about, it can be also a very important thing. Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 minutes because we almost started at 2 and we are at 2:34. So can we have some questions and also addition from the panel or from the plenary? Yes. Give the mic. Do you have an extra mic behind? Do you have an extra mic behind? You can pass over. Okay, just take this then. There's an hand up there. Yes, that.
Thank you very much. My name is Grace Kibobo. I am a student. So my question, I will direct it to Dr. Rotich. We know that it's a requirement for every student to do a research project. And this one starts from the diploma, undergraduate, master's to the PhD. But most of these research projects, even by what you have told us from the data, is that we do not have so many registered innovations in our country. But you can imagine we have so many people graduating. So now my question is it really necessary for us to keep telling students to have these research projects that we'll just keep in the shelves until maybe the expiration of the time that they're supposed to be stored? Because who comes to use this research? If then we still need to have them, what needs to be done by the universities so that these do not just become papers and materials that are just stored in the stores or in the libraries, but things that can be utilized. But I still also want to connect that to what Dr. Rebecca said, that we need to have collaborations with the industries. But my question is it really necessary for us to continue asking students to have the diplomas, research projects, the undergraduate research projects, yet they are not being utilized? So what needs to be done from your end? Thank you so much.
Thank you for that very good question. The question you have asked is so timely, coming as it is at the time when the whole country is now talking about research to commercialization. So research is good. Let's continue doing research. But now we need to move now and do what's called impactful research. I've seen quite a number of students in finance like doing studies like, impact of capital structure and others. Those ones are not impactful. But let's do research. But at the same time, let's now shift the mindset of now and move from research to commercialization. So after all the research work is done, the examination process is complete, we now need students now to disseminate their findings and ask them to tell us what is the contribution of this study to problems, practical problems that they see. Is there anything we can commercialize from this? Therefore, that means that the universities must now create the right structures to push those research findings into the market. So, so how do we do that? Establishment of technology transfer offices is very critical. Support for students in acceleration and incubation, very, very critical. And support in terms of intellectual property management. And beyond that, now we need to have a very good, seamless connection between the industry and the university. So that when the student, assuming now we have a student in MUA here, who is an IT student who has done something on agritech. Yeah, and so this thing can be helpful to some stakeholders in society. Now we need to organize for students to go and pitch. Now train students on how to pitch for those particular, how to go and pitch for the innovation in a way that is going to entice industry people to pick it up. I'll give you a very good example. At KCA University, there's a student who did a case study in a hospital and discovered that the hospital didn't have good mechanisms for managing patients with critical illnesses. So then they went now and talked to management about it. And then the management now gave her a grant now, not a lot of money, just around 300K. And the student now was able to develop a system that helps that hospital, and now it's being rolled out to other hospitals to manage patients with chronic illnesses. So that's an example of why research is important and how we can be able to commercialize by linking up with industry. So what does it mean? So we need also to retool our supervisors. Yeah, supervisors who are supervising students in postgraduate level. I'm not so much talking about diploma, but postgraduate, undergraduate is where a lot of action is likely to be. So we need to retool them now to be able to supervise students for impactful research that can create impact in society. That's number one. And number two, to be able to pick out of all those findings, pick one or two that can actually be able to be taken to the next level in the commercialization process. And finally, then the university must create a policy framework to help in that particular commercialization process. So if a university a student like yourself now, and your supervisor now, you come up, you have finished the research. Now, if you read the intellectual property policies of all these universities around here, it's the same. All intellectual property actually done or output, all the intellectual property output given by the university students and staff belongs to the university. However, if we go to that route, then we are likely to get people coming forward to commercialize the innovation. So we need to create, universities must create a formula for revenue sharing. In case this thing is commercialized, how does the university share revenue with the researchers who did the research and are now actively in the commercialization process? Thank you.
So, and me, how I look at it is that when we come to school, we come to acquire knowledge. And this knowledge first helps me, my family, the community, then I go outside. So what I'm urging is that maybe our work may not be recognized by the government or somebody, an entity outside. But let us start with ourselves. How has the findings helped me? How has the findings helped the organization where you are working? Let us apply the findings from that point. And then from there, going forward, at least you'll have benefited from something which you have already carried a study. Thank you.
We have just exceeded by 1 minute. Probably we have a burning question or any other concern from the floor. Any other contribution? So without any other contribution, we can give a heartful clap for our panel. You can take a photo. Then we have the director research. So thank you.
I request you to remain and ask the other panelists to kindly join me up here. So Winnie, join me. Eliud, I don't know whether he's still here. He needed to. And also Dr. Rebecca, please join me up here. And I want Professor Owar, please join me too. Yes, we give visitors, but you're going to help me give them. Professor will help me give the gifts to our visitors, just to thank you for honoring our request to come and join us. Thank you for gracing this occasion. You have made it wonderful. And those insights, we believe, will be taken up by our students, our researchers, and also the whole country, because we are locked in online, and we are hoping that the things we are hearing here can actually lead to transformation in this country. So, Professor, help me gift Dr. Becky, and Getty will remove the tag. Yes, thank you, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just wait. We will take one photo. And then Winnie, please come. We thank you very much for being here. Dr. Rotich, I wish to thank you very much. You graced our Innovation Week, made a tremendous change. Students are now talking about what is this commercialization. And we hope that when we call you again to help us work that way, that you'll oblige us. Thank you very much. Dr. Evelyn Nyamai, thank you very much all the way. And thank you for agreeing to help us even come up with a curriculum in that area. Then we want to thank our panelists, Micaiah. Thank you very much for bringing to us an understanding of what is happening out there so that we can also adopt it. Thank you very much. Daktari, Prof, please come and join us. We want to take one photo, all of us together, for this session, and then we can conclude. Thank you very much. At this point, thank you. You may have your seats. At this point, I want to then call, we are going to have very short presentations, and then we can all go and take our lunch as the rest of the researchers go and submit their papers. So at this point, so that we give Michael a break, Michael, can I call you up? Michael Parrish, please come and make your presentations now. And then, Mikhail, you will join us. And since the time is well gone, but we don't have much time. I don't know whether you reduce it to less than the 20. That's fine. Yes, and then we can have Dr. Satpathy. He has joined us online. We'll also give him 15 minutes just to make his presentation, and then we can go for lunch as the rest of us. We'll have a break of 30 minutes as we now take the papers and presentations from our students and researchers. Thank you very much.
So my presentation and my research is on maybe get a bit of feedback. So and teacher job satisfaction for university lecturers in Japan. So first we need to find out what makes a job satisfying to the worker. What is important for you? Can I have audience participation? What's most important for you in your job? What makes you satisfied with your job? You're just like my students. Yes. Work-life balance, okay. So yes, so work-life balance is important. Anything else? Okay, so yeah, recognition for a job well done, recognition for your work, stability. Okay, so so education can be very unstable. Yes, like disconnection. Yes. Competition. Compensation. Compensations. Yeah. So, Evelyn, did you have a comment? Okay. Okay. Motivation, satisfaction from the work. So I noticed that compensation was included, but it was the least popular answer. So I think that's something that we for that when we start thinking about work, it's the compensation. But compensation is just the basic category of work, and compensation, and when you have your needs met, it's the other aspects, the motivation, the personal motivation, satisfaction that make your job worthwhile, that make you feel satisfied with the job. So in my research, I surveyed over 200 teachers and asked them what was important, what motivated them, what were some things that were satisfying or dissatisfying about their work. And the results were that job security was important, and being able to choose their own curriculum, choose how they taught the teachers, having some freedom. Maybe you can't choose the course you teach, but you can choose how you teach the subject and how you engage the students. So, and the aspect of leadership and innovation is that leaders, Japan educators are restricted by the Ministry of Education, has a very strict requirements for what must be taught and requirements for different aspects of school, but leaders still have flexibility in their own institutions to encourage teachers to explore new ways of teaching, exploring new topics, taking a topic or a class that was designed for the 19th century or 20th century and changing it to meet students' needs now, and not just teach what they was taught, what they were told, what they were taught. You should teach what they need to know in the future. So I think with those kinds of considerations, that leaders should think about trusting their teachers, giving them the tools and the stability, that they know that they can have a course for several years. Then they can develop a curriculum. They can develop courses that have lots of detail. So the least important in my research, the least important factor was salary. It was important, but it was the least important factor was salary. So let's give our teachers some encouragement, some stability, and the freedom to mold the students of the future. Okay, I'll leave it at that. In the interest of time. Okay, any questions? Yes, Dr. War. I had a whole pleasant.
I'm just wondering from your results whether there was anything that was unexpected from your findings.
Yeah, I thought that the job title would be more important. So people, as long as they had steady employment, they didn't care so much about being a junkyo professor, full professor, or assistant professor, or a lecturer. It was people were satisfied with their job. Yes. At the encouragement of Angeline, yes, she said comparative study would be good. So probably with North America and or Kenya would be the easiest way for me to access it. Yes. All right. All right. So those are some of my results on the page. I had to abbreviate it in the interest of time, but I'll try to put a paper in the journal. Okay.
So yeah, I'm waiting for the slides. Anyway, so maybe I should start. Well, balancing local production strategies in the Kenyan automotive market. This is a research I've been doing together with Professor Peter Kitai. Well, without him, nothing would have been done. And with Zane Ritchie, we are colleagues. Different department, but same school. So credit should be given to them as well. Balancing. So what is this about? Next slide. So it's really about balancing. How does a plant? It's a plant in Mombasa. It's AVA. I think assemblers or manufacturers. They only have one facility, but they are a Kenyan company, right? So how do they balance government interest, which in this case they need to align their manufacturing practices with government initiatives. And in Kenya, obviously, well, the most important ones are promotion of local industrialization, right? And employment generation, right? That's extremely important for not just for Kenya, but also for other countries as well. So how do you manage or kind of trying to balance government interest with corporate interest, right? Corporate interest is not exactly the same with government interest. The corporate interest requires a strategy that allows for, first and foremost, cost savings. That's a big thing in almost any company. And since this is a manufacturing company, it has to allow for faster production cycles, right? So the time between the arrival of the parts at your factory and the time they leave the factory in the form of a complete product, that time is called lead time, but it has to be as short as possible, right? So there are three ways you can do this. Unfortunately, only two of them are available for low to medium size markets for new cars like Kenya, right? I think the number is about 12,000 new cars. Of course, second-hand cars are much more than that, but the new cars are really, it's thereabouts, 12,000 new cars. And what is just-in-time production? I'm not going to go into the details. Just-in-time means getting the product you need in the amount you need it and when you need it, right? Nothing more and nothing less. Unfortunately, just-in-time requires significantly larger scale or size of the market. So the other two options are this. This is one of them. It's called a completely knocked down kit. Right? We usually abbreviate it to CKD, and it means importing the vehicle, the whole vehicle. It's fully disassembled, right? No work has been done on that vehicle. It basically arrives in boxes or sometimes in bags, right? So that means thousands of individual parts, and everything has to be carefully sequenced, assembled, and quality checked. And if you go to the next slide, I think I have a photo here. Okay, so this is where they check the components. You see how the car arrives in bags, basically. Each bag contains a certain number and type of bags, and this guy he has a list. It says component A, 2 pieces, check. Component B, 3 pieces, check. He checks them individually. And since this is a completely knockdown, they have to do all the welding. Like you see here, it's done manually, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because this is how you create employment, right? In Japan, that would be fully automatic, right? There will be robots doing that. Well, of course, I mean robotic arms, right? Robotic arms doing the welding. Here again, I think this is, that's welding again. And the next slide. The next slide, you see, I want to say this is a Hilux that kind of looks for it, you know, the part of the Hilux body. But so this is a batch of them waiting to, they've been welded together and waiting to go to the next stage. So this is one of them. The next one that's the third option available to low to medium-sized markets. That's semi-knockdown kits. Now, semi usually means, I think, half. Now, this doesn't mean that it's exactly 50% pre-fitted or pre-assembled. It can be 10%, it can be 70, 80, it doesn't matter. It's not 100%, right? So what it means is that this time you import vehicles in a partially assembled set, right? Partially assembled state. Usually the engine, the chassis, and the body structure are partially pre-fitted, right? So the result is that there is much less need to do any assembly or any processing in the factory, meaning that cycle times are much faster, right? We go to the next slide. So this is the form in which a semi-knockdown kit arrives in the factory, okay? Kind of looks like it's ready, like you can jump in and drive out of the factory, but it's not. If you look carefully, there are boxes in the, I want to say that this is a HiAce, but looking at the window configuration, it's kind of suspicious. Maybe something else, but okay, let's say it's a HiAce. It's a light commercial vehicle, a Matatu, most likely that's what it's going to become in the future. But there are boxes with all its internal panels and so on. Everything is inside. If you look even more carefully, you will see that there are some tapes here, red and blue color, kind of holding the metal parts together. So if you remove them, it's just gonna break down into pieces, right? Like a Lego toy, I guess. So that's the condition it arrives. So it's almost ready, but not exactly. Okay. And the next slide. So this is the plant layout. They have a jig shop here where they put the parts into jigs. So let's say a jig is a tool that aligns parts against each other. They holds them together so you can weld them. If the manual says 90 degrees, you put them exactly at 90 degrees. It's a specially designed jig. Then you have this is for CKD kits, right? For completely knockdown. So you start from the jig shop, then welding and riveting. Then you have paint. You see the completely knockdown kits. The vehicles are not painted. And then this is all these SUV types. They usually break separate the bodies from the chassis. They have a different assembly process. The bodies go, you have a trim line, so the internal, that's instrument panels, door panels, seats, everything is done on a separate line. And the chassis line, that's suspension, transmission, engine assembly is done again on separate line. And at the end, they kind of mechanically integrate them, and you get a car. So this is for the CKD kit. And for the semi-knockdown kit, it starts from, you see, it's all painted, right? No need for welding, no need for painting. So they go only here, internal trim line for, again, door panels, instrument panels, and the chassis. Again, they have to tighten the bolts there. So it's very quick. So you see that completely knockdown kit requires a lot of work. It has to go through all the processes in the factory, right? So you need a lot of labor, you create employment and so on, which is good. That's what the government wants, I suppose. And the semi-knockdown kit goes only here for internal trim line and the chassis line. So that's only quick. That's basically only one line, right? And at the end, again, light commercial vehicles, they kind of, again, the body and the chassis are kind of integrated at the end of the line, and you can, of course, you have a final check for quality, and then you can send it to the dealer. But it's much faster, and much less work is done in a factory, so you don't need that many people. So I just realized that I don't have a conclusion slide, but I think you're getting the idea. So that company is balancing government interest with corporate interest by carefully, and I would even say strategically, mixing completely knockdown vehicles with semi-knockdown vehicles. Now, we don't know exactly what proportion it is, both lines for completely knockdown vehicles and for semi-knockdown vehicles kind of looked very busy. So I'm guessing it's like 50-50, thereabouts. But yeah, that's how they do it. And well, I think this is, it's quite clear. It's kind of self-explanatory, but if you want to increase local content, you could, well, reduce the import duty on raw materials and parts, right? You could also provide subsidies for local suppliers, right? They need to be able to start a factory, to build a factory. It's not cheap. You require a lot of cash. Then stricter regulations on used vehicle imports. That's something that's been haunting the Kenyan automotive industry since the 1990s, I think. That's when the market was deregulated. I'm on, there are different types of views. Some people want regulation, the other people want deregulation. I'm one of the guys that support deregulation, but that was extreme. I mean, that company used to work at near full capacity, okay, in the 1980s before deregulation. Now they work at less than 20% of their capacity, right? So that is extreme. I mean, I'll give you an example with General Motors. They during the 2009 tank crisis, they dropped like to 50% of their capacity for a few years, and they went bankrupt. Of course, the U.S. government later saved them, but that's another question. And this company has been doing this for tens of years already, and is still on the market. So, yeah, that's quite interesting. Okay, so I think that'll be all for me. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, yeah. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is the difference in tariff? What is the difference in tax? What's the difference in tax between two comparable vehicles? A Hilux made in Kenya, assembled in Kenya, Hilux imported.
Yeah, well, we don't know that. Both of them are very expensive. So as far as I understand, there isn't really much of a difference in tax. I mean, imported parts are also taxed very high. So from that point of view, I think it's basically the same. I mean, I think the government they do need. That's one way to collect taxes because the cars are kind of look like it's a luxury item, right? It's a luxury item, so only people with enough cash or can buy them, and I guess this is one of the ways the government taxes rich people on the products they use or consume. So I think it's basically the same. At the bottom line would be whether you assemble it like a completely knocked down kit or semi knocked down kit, the price wouldn't be too different.
Just a question. When I was walking in the streets of Japan, I was finding that the small cars are the ones which are parked in the estates. And when you look at Kenya, we are finding the big cars which are fuel gassers. Are you able to tell us maybe the difference? Because they are the main manufacturers. Why are we having this two disparity?
So you're asking why in Kenya so many big cars, right? Okay, yeah. Well, one of the main reasons for the many small cars in Japan is that, well, basically they're cheaper. No matter how you look at it, it's cheaper. The price of the unit of the vehicle is cheaper, and the tax you pay on it after you buy it, right, is lower. And you have a small car, which is good for city driving, but if you get on the highway, you start to feel the difference. Yeah. If you get something like a Hilux in Japan, that's going to be very expensive to buy and to have, basically. The tax is very high. Hilux, the consumes feel like an elephant, I guess. Like an elephant drinks water. So yeah, Japanese people are very kind of, if you can save money on something, you do. That's what they do. Yeah. And out then, yeah. But if you can, you do it. Yeah, especially all these, and there are kind of physical constraints there. You know, parking spaces are not very big there. So I think you haven't seen any car parked on a street in Japan after evening hours when everybody's home. No, so everything is parked somewhere, not on the street, a specialized parking, or in your house has a parking on the first floor, or maybe not, or somewhere else. Small cars are popular. Yeah. Oh, you have to want to.
Also, I just want to add to what he is saying. Those who have gone to Japan, because I was also there, I think to them having vehicle is not a necessity. Their transport system is so much organized that you don't even need a vehicle, because it's not like here where in Kenya you have to wait a matatu to get full before it can leave. Their transport system is trump. If it's leaving at this time, it's leaving with or without human being inside, and that's why you find it become very convenient for them even to have those small cars for anything. Yeah.
That's a good point. I haven't thought about this that way. Yeah, so a train would leave even there are like 0 people on the train. It's going to go. That's the way it is. They have a time schedule and they're very punctual about it. If it says the train leaves at 2:12, right? 12 minutes past 2, it's going to leave there. It's not going to wait for people to assemble and get on the train. That's the way it is.
Thank you so much, Mikael.
Thank you.
And Michael Parrish for those submissions. At this point, we want to our online. I hope you can see me. Professor Satpathy, would like to have your submissions. Yes.
Yes, Angeline, good to see you. Good to see you exactly after 2 years. And you look good.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Before I forget, Jambo to you all. And please give the PPT sharing rights to my colleague, and she will be presenting the PowerPoint, and we'll respect the time given to us.
Just hold on a minute, Professor. We want to release our panelists. We have some lunch for you. Please, Gladys, just show our panelists where the lunch will be had, where we are going to have that. We also want to release our Japanese friends. Go and take lunch first. Professor might take 30 minutes or more, but we are restricting you to 20 minutes today, Professor Satpathy.
No issues, no issues. It is 20 minutes is equal to 1200 seconds. Don't worry.
Good. So please go have your lunch and then join us in 20 minutes. Then we'll have the
Sure.
presentation by Professor Zain and our student. So kindly go and have your lunch and come back. You may proceed, Professor.
Yeah, Angeline, can you please put the camera on the speaker, Dr. SS? Hello.
I'll do that
Yes,
for you.
straight
Just
away.
hold on.
Yeah. She can, yeah. She has just shared her slides, so the show is on. Thanks, Angeline. Please start.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, respected scholars. I am Dr. Sandhya from India. Along with my research colleague, Colonel Professor Dr. J. Satpathy, we feel honored and privileged to be here today at this gathering where we explore the intricate world of entrepreneurial decision making, where a realm of science, psychology, and strategy interact. The theme of our address, Cognito Soundings in Entrepreneurial Decisions, is rooted in an interdisciplinary approach that merges the management sciences with ophthalmology and cognitive neuroscience. I have changed the slide. Is it visible?
Yes, it's
Yes.
visible and you're audible.
Yes, thank you. So entrepreneurs are often celebrated for their vision. But what if we tell that vision is both in a literal and cognitive sense, plays a fundamental role in shaping business decisions? At the heart of the entrepreneurship lies decision making, complex, multifaceted, and deeply human. So entrepreneurs navigate uncertainty, assess the risks, and recognize the opportunities. But what truly drives these decisions? Is it sheer logic, intuition, experience, or a confluence of cognitive process influenced by external stimuli? So our research dwells into the fascinating field of neuroentrepreneurial management, bringing together the neuromanagement, ophthalmology, and psychology to decode the hidden cognitive forces that drive the entrepreneurial success. Also, this research dwells into the neurobehavioral aspects of entrepreneurial choices, questioning the traditional models that perceive decision making as a purely rational. As we stand at this crossroads of science and business, we ask, what truly drives entrepreneurial decisions? Why do some people recognize opportunities while others overlook them? How do cognitive biases, intuitions, and external influences shape these choices that entrepreneurs make? But what actually drives these decisions? So by leveraging the cutting edge tools like Toby, eye tracking technologies, the study uncovers the ways entrepreneurs process visual information, assess risks, and make high-stake decisions. This research doesn't just offer the insights technically or theoretically, but it also provides the practical strategies to help entrepreneurs make more informed, effective, and adapted choices. So let's embark on the journey of understanding the cognitive decision-making of entrepreneurs. This presentation explores the intersection of neuroscience, ophthalmology, and entrepreneurship, emphasizing how cognitive process influences the entrepreneurial decision-making. The science behind the entrepreneurial decisions in the era of interdisciplinary management focuses on the field of neuroentrepreneurial management, which has emerged as a bridge between the biological sciences and business strategy. But yet, the question is how entrepreneurs process visual information while making high-stake decisions. what is the role of cognitive biases and intuitions in risk assessment? And what influences of external factors such as market trends and social networks on entrepreneurial cognitions? By employing advanced ophthalmological tools like Tobii eye tracking technology, the research measured the real-time eye movement to analyze cognitive engagements, focusing on understanding the various patterns and decision triggers. So these findings redefined the way decision-making is perceived, providing and proving that an entrepreneur's vision, both metamorphically and scientifically, plays a fundamental role in business success. So the role of visual stimuli in shaping cognitive and decision-making process is being examined, bridging the gap between the scientific world of eye care and the practical, fast-paced world of entrepreneurship. This helped us to bring the relationship between the visual stimuli, cognitive process, and entrepreneurial decisions. So while to a large extent, neuro-entrepreneurial management sciences has aligned incongruent fields of management and psychology, but yet there is a critical question that remains: how can we use these insights to enhance the decision-making frameworks? So the study proposes the various strategies to improve entrepreneurial choices by developing awareness of cognitive biases, where entrepreneurs recognize their innate biases to make more objective data-driven decisions, leveraging the intuition with analytical thinking, where the experience and gut feelings are valuable, but they should be complemented by structured analysis, also enhancing the visual decision support system, integrating the neuro-ophthalmologic insights in business analytics tools, which can revolutionize how entrepreneurs interpret the data. The study challenges conventional rational decision-making models and investigates how neuro-optometric insights can provide a deeper understanding of entrepreneurial behavior. The key question here is, how do eye tracking and cognitive process shape and reshape entrepreneurial decision-making? How is entrepreneurial decision-making methods executed in mind? And how do interpret findings when neuro-entrepreneurial consequences struggle? How should entrepreneurs plan? How can we become higher in decision-making? So the research aims to analyze the cognitive processes that influence entrepreneurial decision-making, including how entrepreneurs assess risk, identify opportunities, and make strategic choices. The research also tries to identify the psychological factors and mental frameworks that guide the decision-making, including the cognitive biases and emotional influences. The research also tries to explore the role of intuition and experience in entrepreneurial decision-making and how entrepreneurs leverage past experiences to navigate uncertainty and make informed decisions. It also assesses the impact of external factors such as market trends, social networks, environmental cues on the cognitive processes that shape entrepreneurial decisions. The research tries to propose strategies for improving decision-making in entrepreneurship based on insights into cognitive process. So ultimately, the goal is to bridge the psychological theory with business practice, helping entrepreneurs improve their decision-making skills. The purpose of the study is to provide a deeper understanding of the mental and cognitive underpinnings of entrepreneurial decision-makings, aiming to uncover the cognitive soundings that drive their decisions, to bridge the gap between the psychological theory and the entrepreneurial practice, offering valuable insights for entrepreneurs to improve their decision-making skills, also to increase the chances of success in an ever-evolving business environment. The study tries to propose to empower entrepreneurs with tools to make them more informed, effective, adaptive, enhancing their ability to navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities in the workplace. The problem adopted in this research is to assess the ophthalmological investigations that have stimulus on entrepreneurial decision-making. So in this study, while we aim to explore the cognitive processes behind the entrepreneurial decision-making, several methodological issues and challenges have been considered, defining and measuring the cognitive processes. So the cognitive processes such as risk perception, intuition, and judgment are inherently subjective and complex, which is considered in the research study. Sample selection and representativeness. So entrepreneurs come from diverse backgrounds, industries, and experience levels. So ensuring a representative sample that encompasses a wide range of entrepreneurial profiles have been critically validated for this study. Influence of the external factors. So entrepreneurs' decisions to a large extent are influenced by a host of external factors, such as the marketing conditions, financial constraints, and social networks. So distinguishing between cognitive factors which are internal and these external influences is been a methodological challenge which is being addressed and handled. So the cognitive biases and subjectivity. So entrepreneurs' decisions are often influenced by cognitive biases such as overconfidence, confirmation bias, or loss aversion. So capturing these biases in the most systematic way was difficult, but individuals may not always be aware of their own biases or may be reluctant to admit them. So longitudinal data collection. The collecting longitudinal data to observe how cognitive processes change and develop is very much inclusive in this research. So data interpretation and subjectivity. To mitigate this, the study explored the mitigation and using multiple data sources such as surveys, interviews, behavioral analysis to ensure a comprehensive understanding. Ethical considerations. Studying the entrepreneur's decision-making process involved sensitive data related to their business strategies and financial information as well, and personal experiences. So ensuring the ethical handling of this information was a paramount in conducting this research. Along with this, we also worked on bringing a reference to cognitive continuum model and quasi-rationality, working along with the laboratory studies, along with the traditional approaches, with a focus of lens of mental operations and TOBI equipment. When the study utilized TOBI eye tracking technology and a gaze cloud to analyze eye movements during decision making, the cognitive continuum model and quasi-rationality framework guided the analysis part. So data was gathered through 7 reference tests on a single subject, with results offering insights into neuro-optometric influences on business choices. So TOBI equipment was used, single subject was chosen, eye gaze controller software was used, with 7 reference tests conducted, the deductions was drawn. So based on the study, the research results and findings were drawn. Entrepreneurial decisions are shaped by the cognitive biases, intuition, and external influences. The eye movement patterns provided the measurable data on how entrepreneurs process information. Neuro-optometric models offered a new framework for integrating cognitive science with business decision-making. This study also opened new avenues for interdisciplinary research